Well, hello everybody. This is Angel Michael. I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Today my topic is called Neo or Pseudo Traditionalists or Tradcons, or Pharisees in the pews, and maybe in the pulpit as well. Today I want to go a little bit further in my talk about Tradcons. I had a subscriber who said I should call Tradcons Neo-Tradcons. I think the term Pseudo-Tradcon is a more precise or accurate label for these people. I want to be more specific to make sure I am not misunderstood. I consider myself to be a strict traditionalist in the sense that I believe in biblical marriage, not the farce of what we call modern marriage has become, where the state and the family are married to the man. And you can go to my and have another video where I'm talking about that, about modern marriage versus biblical marriage, if you want to understand more in detail about that situation. I believe in the family structure that's laid out in the Bible, with the husband as head, wife as partner and supporter, and the children are submissive to their parents. No, children are supposed to be, are not supposed to be disrespectful to their parents, and kids do not rule the roost. I believe in disciplining disobedient children also. Unfortunately, a lot of even Tradcons don't even believe that anymore. Definitely don't believe that in the wide culture itself. Okay, so let's define some terms again. Tradcon or traditionalists, again, are people who, like myself, believe you should have a traditional family with a wife, a husband, and kids. But unlike the fake Tradcons that I'll be talking about, the man is supposed to be the head of the household, not the wife. The wife should be submissive to her husband, love him, respect and support him. The man loves his wife and kids and supports and encourages them. He is not a dictator. He loves them so much he's willing to give his life for them. Where I deviate from this viewpoint slightly is that I think the wife should love her kids and husband and also be willing to give her life for her children and husband as well. She should respect and true love goes both ways. Love requires sacrifice from both the man and the woman. Besides, if you want to act like a little child instead of an adult, you have no business calling yourself an adult or a grown woman. You do not deserve any respect from me. Jesus, Paul, nor any of the apostles ever put all the burden of family life and the sacrifice on just the man. Jesus said to his disciples that they should be willing to take care of each other, love each other in the manner that he showed to them and took care of them. He said God is no respecter of persons, and this refers to genders as well. God didn't tell the man that only they were required to be responsible for the family life and welfare of their country. Jesus never told any man that he alone was expected to sacrifice for his family and nation. When Jesus spoke, he used the gender-neutral term of mankind, which refers to all people, male and female. Both the husband and wife should work together as a family unit and make decisions together. The wife should be just as willing to give up her life as the husband. Unlike modern families where the woman is the head of the household and the kids rule over them, the Bible forbids about such behavior and talks about it as well. Look up Isaiah 3:12, where it talks about that situation. The Bible also mentions in the Ten Commandments itself about being respectful to your parents. So if you have so many people that basically let the kids rule the family, read the Ten Commandments. It tells you in specific details. It goes a little further in Deuteronomy. They actually talk about executing disrespectful children, and they do. Okay, let's go further here. Jesus always reminded his disciples that they lived in a godless world ruled by evil people who worshiped Satan. He even called the religious leaders of his day vipers, whitewashed tombs, and synagogue of Satan. Does this sound to you like he believed men should be slaves to the state? He even drove out the money changers who were taking advantage of people financially in the temple. The religious leaders were afraid of Jesus because he exposed them for the vile, disgusting, hypocritical people they really were. They were the leaders of the Jewish nation, and Jesus called them names and disrespected them. So do you really believe Jesus expects us to bow to the will of Satan-worshipping scumbags who run our nation in Washington, D.C.? Well, to a point we are to obey our leaders, but only to a point. Unlike Israel and ancient Rome, America is a nation ruled by laws, not the will of a dictator. We have a constitution. We are a constitutional republic. No leader in this country is above the law of the land, the Constitution. We are not slaves to the government. They're supposed to serve us, the people. If God thought slavery was okay, then he should have never freed his people from slavery in Egypt, now should he? People actually used to take Paul's words out of context to say that Paul thought slavery was okay. But that's far from the truth. Paul was a very wise and shrewd man and very careful in what he said and what he wrote. He knew better not to speak out against slavery because he knew that in a heartbeat that the Roman government would have thrown him in prison and had him executed. Paul knew that once people became Christians and were given the light of the gospel and the Holy Spirit resided in them, they would change and they would know slavery is wrong and slavery would be abolished. So he didn't need to start a social revolution with his words that he knew would have never gotten off the ground to begin with. Unlike the social revolution that we had in the United States during the 60s, where people marched, for rights of black people or whatnot, which made an impact on a lot of the people and changed their ideas, and they changed the laws because of it. At least the government had some respect for the rights of the people and actually allowed people to voice their opinion and to demonstrate. However, in ancient Rome, you didn't dare speak out against the government at all. If you dared to do so, you were considered a traitor and would have been executed immediately without even a trial, especially since a lot of people were not even citizens. Roman citizens had some rights, but most people were not Roman citizens, so therefore they had no rights at all. So just like the hypocritical Pharisees of or what I call pseudo-fake Tradcons, seem to be more interested in holding on to their power and their twisted ideology than they are to the truth of the gospel. Pharisees were not saved to begin with. Jesus called them children of Satan. I don't know the hearts of modern-day Pharisees or Tradcons, but I question their salvation as well. Just like the Pharisees, they place such ridiculous standards upon men that they themselves don't even live up to. Like the Pharisees, who made up over 600 laws that they expected the average Jewish person to abide by, yet they didn't see that it was necessary for them to observe these laws for themselves. This fits modern-day pseudo-Tradcons to a T. A lot of these same pastors who claim we MGTOW men are not sacrificing ourselves for the common good of the collective are not doing this themselves. Besides, what little can one guy do to save a nation that's so screwed up nothing will ever fix the mess that we are in? Only Jesus Christ's second coming will ever fix the mess this nation is in. These pseudo-Tradcon pastors are also fleecing and stealing from their own congregation, and even get away with it without any jail time. And I can give you names of different people, but I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about that. These people think they're above the rest of us little peons. I guess we little guys are just like little pawns in a chess game to be disposed of. Well, I wanted to bring up an article I saw years ago that I never forgot. I did a Google search but couldn't find it. I guess the lady probably deleted it. It was by a so-called Christian female writer or speaker from Canada named Susan Gregory. She has a ministry there, and the article had to do with equating the lack of chivalry of men in today's society and the reference to the old days when men went down with the Titanic and let the women and the children survive. I was more shocked by the comments by females than by anything that Susan had to say. One such female commenter made a comment like how it only took one man to fertilize a large group of women, so if all the other men died, it didn't matter because it only took one man. Now, how vile is that? This woman thinks that all men are expendable utilities for the government and women. Isn't that nice? If this was a so-called Christian lady on a so-called Christian blog site, and Gregory never said anything to rebuke this woman neither. This shows how pseudo Tradcons and women in general really feel about us men. What a disgusting, vile person these people are. Christ said we are to love one another. How can you claim to be a Christian if you don't love or even acknowledge that a person even has any value or rights at all, or the right to life for that matter? The only other people in our society that are considered even more subhuman and of lesser value than men are unborn children. Even so-called Christian women today now are claiming they have a right to abort their unwanted babies. Oh, of course they use the term fetus. That sounds so much better, you know. It takes the bad taste of the truth out of their mouths. That fetus is a child, not a blob of flesh. Oh, let's not forget, ladies, and I use that term loosely. If you have no desire to have kids to begin with, why aren't you using the myriad number of methods that females have today to keep from having unwanted pregnancies? Women have over 20 different birth control methods that men do not have access to. Men have 3. 1 is a condom, 2 is a surgical procedure called a vasectomy, and 3 is abstinence. And oh, you know, number 3 isn't the birth control method of choice for any modern woman, you know. And yes, we men are accused of being the ones who can't control our sex drive. Sure. I've never had a problem controlling my sex drive, and I never ever had a problem of impregnating a female accidentally, and I use the term accidentally very loosely. Unwanted pregnancy is what it's called, what it really is. I call it sin, a lack of self-control, a desire to be a hedonistic pig. This is what feminism has turned modern women into, whores, who lack any common sense and any common morality at all. And they also have no desire or no need, because of the government, to have any responsibility for their own actions, or take any responsibility for their own actions. They blame it all on the guy. You know, it takes 2 people to have sex now, right? You know that females can say no too, right? Didn't you know we had a bunch of grown women acting like a bunch of spoiled rotten babies? But when you have big daddy government holding your hand, I guess that's all you need. I want to insert here, I'm speaking in generalizations. I'm not saying all women are whores. I'm talking about a good number of them, of course, a number of females, but not all of them, and of course the unsaved variety. Don't put words in my mouth and take my words out of context, please. Okay, back to the article. Since that article was written in 2011, scientists have discovered that they can take skin cells of a man and create a fully functioning human baby without the aid of a female at all. They can take skin cells from a woman and also create a baby, but they can only create female babies from a woman's skin cells. It seems that only men have the DNA markers that produce both male and female babies. Of course, this proves creation, now, doesn't it? Adam was created first, and woman was created from the genetic material from the man. Can you imagine the outrage from women if some guy were to gloat that we don't even need women to create life anymore? Oh, the misogyny. Of course, most guys aren't that psychopathic to ever make such a claim and gloat about it. And if they did, we would never hear the end of it either, would we? I would love to ask these pseudo-fake Tradcons what they have ever done or what they plan to do to make the world a better place. I guarantee most will look at you with a blank stare like you just spoke to them in a foreign language. They don't have a clue what they can do to help fix the problems in our society. What do you think getting married and making babies will do to make America better? All you're going to do is to create more future wage slaves for the satanic scum who run this country from Washington, D.C. and tax the rest of us to death. And one more thing. I've mentioned this article in another video, but I think it makes a valid point to how men are viewed as nothing but expendable objects. I saw an article a few years ago about two women. One was in her 20s and the other one was a 40-something-year-old who were attacked outside a Philadelphia nightclub at 3 a.m. The women were mugged and had their pocketbooks stolen. They both were complaining that there were no men around to protect them from the mean muggers at 3 a.m. So this tells you the mentality of women today. The immaturity and the lack of common sense. Okay, now, a 40-something-year-old hanging out with a 20-something-year-old at a club at 3 a.m.? Do these women have jobs? And besides, most 40-year-old women, usually by that time, they're married and have children. Now, I don't know if either one of them were married or if they had children. One thing's for sure, if the 40-year-old had a child, somebody was at home looking after her while she was running around at night. I wonder if this broad left her kids at home with her mom or the grandmother while she's out partying at night. I don't know about you guys, but I'm at bed at 3 a.m. because I have a job and I'm a mature adult. As a Christian, I don't go to nightclubs anyway. The only people I know who are roaming around at 3 a.m. in a big city are streetwalkers, those are hookers, and criminals. God-fearing mature adults are at home in bed at 3 a.m. or at work if they work third shift. Then I want to ask these women who claim to be adults if they are responsible enough to go out drinking. Why don't they learn to take care of themselves? You can buy a gun. You can learn self-defense, to protect yourself if you're out, even if you're drunk. I guess you could protect yourself with a gun. I thought they were supposed to be strong and independent women and don't need no man to take care of them. I guess when scary men are around at 3 a.m., these ladies turn into little babies. Whatever happened to the feminist mantra of the 60s? Women need a man like a fish needs a bicycle. Funny, isn't it? These women are pathetic. Men are not their little slaves that are supposed to come running at their beck and call whenever they need their help. It's about time you ladies, and I use the term loosely, ladies, grew up, isn't it? But yeah, this is how many women view men. And pseudo-Tradcons also. Man up and marry those whores. I guess they want us to marry these whores to look after them and treat them like children since they're sick and tired of them staying at home looking after them. They can't use their God-given common sense like the rest of us? Pathetic, isn't it? Mom and Dad are tired of raising their whorish daughters' illegitimate children. They don't want their daughters' baby daddy around them. You have a whole generation of females now that have nothing but illicit affairs with deadbeats. And these parents think if they get their whorish daughter to church, she will meet some nice Christian beta cook to straighten her out. It's going to take a lot more than a nice Christian beta cook to straighten these self-entitled hedonistic whores out. First thing these women need to do is get saved. Going to church and pretending to listen to the pastor to make mom and dad happy isn't going to change anything. The Holy Spirit is the only person that's going to turn a sinful whore into a child of God who loves and respects herself and others. The parents better take their daughter to a church where the pastor really preaches the gospel and not to some liberal mamby-pamby social justice hellhole. It's going to take all of us praying really hard and witnessing hard to turn this nation around. We need to wake up our Christian brothers and sisters to the truth. Christians need to read the Bible and apply it to their life and let the Holy Spirit work in their life. He's the only person that's going to make any impact on this nation and our culture. Tradcons keep saying we got to fix this mess. Well, you haven't fixed it yet, and you're not going to either. We are so far gone now that only a miracle from God is going to fix anything. So stop putting all the blame and all the social pressure on single guys to conform to Christ, not the world. Only Christ can fix this mess. Well, I hope you've gotten something from this video, and that I've made myself a bit more clear than the last video on my stance on Tradcons. I look forward to your comments. Please be adult and respectful to others when commenting. Have a wonderful day, take care, and God bless you.